Welcome back now to the fragile ceasefire in the Middle East and escalating calls for it to be expanded to include Lebanon. But there's politics there. I'll get to that with my international panel now. Sky News contributor Kosha Gada and former Labor MP Michael Danby. All this talk, Kosha, about how fragile it is. I spoke a little bit before to Tony Abbott, who said if we end up with neutralising most of their nuclear capacity, but not getting our hands on this enriched uranium, and we're in a situation where to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is basically collecting a toll, we're all going to end up funding terrorism. That can't be where we leave things.
That feels like we're worse than where we were when this whole thing started, right? If it's essentially the same picture, but they're getting a toll of $1 per barrel. I think the issue is that there were never the goals of the war were never fully defined, and so we don't know what finishing the job necessarily looks like. If it is to stop any sort of nuclear ambition, including enrichment, that feels, from where I'm sitting tonight, unlikely. I really think that's difficult because that's going to involve troops on the ground. We know the politics of it. It's not popular. We're inching up to the midterm. If it is figuring out how to get the Strait of Hormuz back open without that toll, hopefully that's something that's more achievable, and we do see that in the near term. If it's regime change, I have to say that's probably an even bigger and loftier goal that we don't really see any signs of the appetite back home to go the extra 10,000 miles it's going to take.
Why would they when they're in it alone?
Right.
I mean, this is the problem. If it was a world cause, if other nations were joining in...
Then it's a different story.
It's a different story. And we know, Michael, we're told by sort of the underground media in Iran, the people want this mob gone, but they also know, and they've seen it, if they go out into the streets, they'll be shot. If there's an allegation against them that they're somehow not for the government, they're literally a public execution. That's what ends up happening to them. So you can understand why the people are loath to go out there and publicly campaign.
80% of Iranians in Iran, and certainly all of the Iranian diaspora, I've spoken to them here, 5,000 people singing Advance Australia Fair on the steps of State Parliament House, want this clerico-fascist regime ended.
Yeah.
But I have no faith, I'm sorry to say it, Peter, in Vice President Vance, straight from his disgraceful visit, if I can say that, to Hungary, 5 days before an election where the other bloke, the opposition leader, looks like he's going to win. But nonetheless, Vance and the team will be there in Pakistan, and they should do their best to advance American policy and get this regime to open the Straits of Hormuz, stick by the ceasefire, and slight disagreement with Kosha, the nuclear stuff is entombed. I have great faith in that at the moment. I think it should be released eventually to the International Atomic Energy Agency. That'd, I think, satisfy the whole world. And the missiles have to stop. I think they've greatly degraded. General Kane and the whole team have really worked that to a great effect.
Just a quick comment from you. The Prime Minister name-checking Lebanon today. Please, Albanese could not find Lebanon on a map, right? We all know who's running Lebanon, terror organisation Hezbollah. This is about Lebanese votes in Western Sydney and parts of Melbourne that Labor need to survive.
He and Wong have been braying since October 7, 2023 for de-escalation, restraint. If the Israelis had listened to them, they would probably have been overwhelmed by all of those different elements, including Hezbollah. And Vance, to his credit, stood on the tarmac after he left Hungary saying that there shouldn't be any further attacks by Hezbollah, and that the Israelis were not part of the ceasefire in that part of the world. They like the Americans, had to stop.
But
in
it's
Iran,
Labor votes in Sydney, come on.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. Confusing Lebanon and Hezbollah in particular.
Talk to me about the Straits of Taiwan. If we think it's bad now, it would be nothing like we would see if things were unleashed by China.
It would be seismic. I think, what's happening with Hormuz, I would say that even 2 months ago, the average person didn't know what a strait was, to be frank. And now we know that these choke points exist in the world, and they can bring world powers to their knees, even from regimes that are not that fundamentally powerful like Iran. China, of course, is. And Taiwan controls the majority of China controls the majority of manufacturing. Taiwan controls 90% of semiconductors, which are what go in the computer chips that power every single thing in modern life. They have a lot of leverage if that were to happen. And especially for Australia, a big portion, 30% plus of imports of manufacturing come from China. you're in this precarious position of having to balance and walk that tightrope between the relationship with the U.S. and China, which would potentially turn adversarial. So it's a big deal. The only solace is that China so far has not shown evidence that it is likely to do that kind of thing, though it could.
Watching closely.
It's watching closely.
Watching.
And they're playing the long game. They've got other
all
leverage.
of its tech has been fundamentally defeated by American military tech. And by the way, you're right about the Straits of Hormuz. I saw lots of young Americans interviewed who thought it was being very unfair to the gays of Hormuz.
You cannot make this stuff up. All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you both.